Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday night, 5 o'clock edition of 4K Skywatching Podcast. Been messing around with some settings at the last minute, so the screen looks a little bit cropped, but we're going to go with it. Tonight, we have an interesting show. This one is going to be about what is going on in the New Jersey area with these drones. What is the magnitude of this? I thought about what I would do if I was in New Jersey. I was one of the witnesses of the March 13th sighting that happened. I videotaped it. I investigated it. Had a lot of time over the years to think about what would I do different if I could. Is there anything else that I could have did better? Right off the bat, the only real regret I have was having dinner with Stephen Greer. Shouldn't have did that, because if I was out, I would have recorded the boomerang. So a little bit of regret from that. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. Hey, Renee. Hey, Kenny. How you doing? Marcus, good to see you. Good to see you, Larry. So yeah, a lot of the things I thought about from like that March 13th sighting, that was mainly wrapped around the boomerang. Like, how would I get video if I didn't shoot it? Somebody did. There's assets all over big cities that will record that. For instance, all those buildings in downtown Phoenix, the high rises, those all have surveillance cameras on them. Sky Harbor Airport, that has probably 500 different cameras there looking around in the parking lot and everywhere. So they would have recorded it. Police station, courthouses, all those places are highly secure. They all have cameras. Now, the FBI would be able to go and say, we want those surveillance cameras. And then you got to think about things like back then, 7-Eleven. They'd have cameras. Back then, we didn't have cameras everywhere. Today, at least in Phoenix, every single major street has cameras watching the cars. We have ADOT. We have a number of cameras on South Mountain. So if a boomerang type thing were to fly over, it's going to be documented by thousands upon thousands of cameras with Ring cameras, my system, and whatnot. But what we're dealing with in New Jersey isn't as big as what we had in the Phoenix Lights. So we have to look at regional things. So that is going to work. So this is a historic event, what's going on in New Jersey. This is ufology unfolding right in front of our eyes. This is a real-time, almost experiment for the government or something. but it's unfolding, and there's a lot we can do. The public is very confused as to what's going on. There's a what's what type of thing. I think I talked before that what's going to happen is if you have a legitimate repeat sighting, what's going to happen is people come along and they poison the well. They flood the zone with just so much crap. People give up. They don't know what's what. This happens online. Too, you flood the zone with bullshit. Social media will all of a sudden start, no matter where you go, if it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Blue Sky, Threads, you're gonna find out all of them have kind of the same characters. They were discovered by Rob Heatherly as the guerrilla debunkers, is what they call themselves. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. Reddit's a garbage pile of no information. It slipped out. One of the main places that Reddit has for shit posting comes out of Eglin Air Force Base. So they have probably a group of people sitting in a room, and they're assigned different social media. They have different accounts. They have fake AI and whatnot, and they just gonna put a lot of crap out there. And what this crap does is it leeches on by mudrakers and bottom feeders like Stephen Greenstreet won't point out the exact orbs and weird things going on. He's just going to point to an aircraft saying, "You're dumb. You all see this. This is all you see." When the zone was flooded for them to cherry pick this type of bullshit out. This is real. This is very, very real. We had a sheriff see these objects come out of the ocean, or a local deputy report it to the sheriff. We had a Coast Guard boat, I think the same night, see 13 of these objects. So we know one of the points of origin is sea. It's safe to say that they are tracked to and from where they're going to by radar from the U.S. military. The U.S. military knows a lot more about this than they're saying, and we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to go into a lot of these details. So what can you do? If you're in New Jersey right now, what can you do about this? If you're in the surrounding areas, like New York or anywhere like that where these things are active, what can you do about that? Everybody always wants the best hardware they can after the fact. So what you do is you skywatch with the gear you have, not with the gear you wish you had, with the credit card. So the first thing that you can do is you can use your phone. You can take your phone and you can set this up as your own surveillance device. You can turn this on and stream a private stream directly to YouTube. And then you'll have so this is your NVR. You use social media as your NVR. So you can post to there, and then the next morning, wake up and see if you got anything. And this is for people that are in a hotspot. You can also stream this to OBS and then stream this out to some of your friends. So you could do kind of make your own local group. Don't depend on groups like MUFON at all. They collect reports after an event happens. They don't give a damn something live is unfolding in front of them. So set up your own network with your friends and people you trust. Start documenting everything you can about this. This is going to come to an end. They all do. This is a flap, and all flaps last for a while, and then they go. And afterwards, you're wondering what the hell exactly happened. I'm going to help you with that tonight. There's actual UFOs going on here, but there's also a lot of stuff that you have to sift through. So do what you can. Now, this all started, I think, in New Jersey, at least around December 4th or 5th, as the first documented sighting of this. Now, there's actual maps sighting maps that have been put out by different media sources. The FBI has their own in-house stuff. Last I heard, they had about 3,000 reports that were sent to them. So they have to sift through all that and do what's what. So as far as like what gear can you use? Well, your phone. That's one for starters. Another thing is your web camera. If you have a web camera that's sitting around, get a cheap tripod and use this. Now, I know it's cold as shit right now in New Jersey. It's cold as hell. So you have to improvise and do whatever you can. So you can get a web camera like this. You can use the internal camera in Windows 10 and use that as a recorder. It's really cold in New Jersey. You probably will deal with snow at some point. So you can possibly aim this out a window and hope it doesn't freeze up. Another thing you can get really cheap is from Amazon. Within a day or two, you can get like a 20-foot USB extension cord and hook this up. This will give you some room from wherever your computer or your laptop or whatever your device is to run to your local computer. You don't really need a high-speed kick-ass computer to do this either. You can do this with what you have. So if you don't have a computer, use your phone. If you have a laptop and this other stuff, start recording everything you can and save it. Document this stuff. I'm going to go through where you can make the best out of this material. So start with your phone. Start with the web camera. If what's really good about OBS is it has a built-in recorder. So you can record directly to your hard drive with that because the built-in Windows 10 recorder isn't all that at all. OBS is much better. You can also use that to upload to a private YouTube live stream and essentially use YouTube as a free digital NVR. You ever think about that? Well, you can do it with them. So now that you are out there and you're recording, now what do? You start collecting. For the love of God, learn how to use Flight Radar 24. Please learn how to use this. It's not that hard. So I'm going to give you some quick lessons and how can you use this. Now, let's see. Okay, so over here in the corner, for $12 a year, you can pay for a premium membership of Flight Radar. And I'll show you a little bit of what that does. It's pretty cheap. This is a tool that you got to use. The other night, I did a 3-hour live Skywatch, and there must have been 50 aircraft in the sky at any one time. A lot of it looked like, you could freeze frame it and say, well, that was a bunch of these drones or something. Everything is called drones. This is a part of the stigma that the mainstream media is going to call these drones, but they're not going to come out yet and say UFO. They did it first. At first, they said, we don't know what these are. These aren't ours. It's not foreign military. How did they know all that if they don't have any images at all? You got to have images to rule that stuff out. So when I was skywatching live, I was using Flight Radar, and I was able to basically see aircraft going over me, around me, in front of me, and see them out 20-something miles. There was one object that went over that night. It wasn't on Flight Radar. It could have been military. Military doesn't have to register with Flight Radar. So let's just, for example, let's click this guy. So this guy right here will show you that's that plane. It's registered. It'll tell you where. You can look where it took off. You can look where it's going to. And if you pay for, also here's another thing. You can look at it in 3D. So you click on that button right down there. Well, I can see that there's an ad there. So there's an ad over what I clicked on. So anyway, you could see what an example of that aircraft. And you could get a bird's eye view of what it should look like. It's a lot like what you see in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. You can also use some of these other buttons that are unlocked. Another thing you can do is do playback. This is very, very important. Let me explain a little bit how this works. With playback, you can rewind this. It's a member-only tool. So you can rewind this. However, it's in UTC, and at least where I'm at, you have to add about 6 hours to this to figure out, because you're looking at a needle in a haystack here, and you got to get this right. You got to. So use ChatGPT, put in where you live, so it knows your time zone. Then make sure you say you're using flight 24, and it's using UTC's time. So you will go in here, and you can go back many, many years. I believe the ABSD exchange goes even more. So that is number one tool. Use the hell out of that. If you don't know how to use this, you're dead in the water. You're going to misidentify thing after thing after thing. There's a lot of stuff that came out. They say that, like one of them, here's an instance, they said it was a boomerang craft. Looked really cool. But you can't see it in thermal, so you don't know if we're missing the wings or something else. But you can find out on flight radar. Now, if flight radar don't have it, then there's a good chance that it could be on the ADSB exchange. So this is the next place you're going to look. If you have a bunch of screens, you're going to want to come in here and take a look. Now, I'm not a pro power user on this. I'm going to take some more lessons and do some tutorials on how to just use these tools. Let me give you a quick lesson real quick on this. You use shift and hold on shift and your mouse wheel to zoom in. Now down here at the bottom, this is really handy that this is something that flight radar doesn't have. This kind of color heat map. So if we see over here in the pink, this indicates that this aircraft is 40,000 feet. So you can quickly identify altitudes with this. These ones yellow over here are coming into a landing because they're in the 4,000 feet zone. So this is something that you're going to want to look at while you skywatch. Use this as a tool. These are both free. So I implore people to use this before you send off a report to the following places that I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to go into, well, what do you do once you capture something? So next, I got one other place for you to look. And this is UFO Stalker. UFO Stalker is another place to look up UFO sightings. I'm not sure who exactly runs this. Again, this is like the ADSB. It's hold on shift and zoom in. So you can come in here and you can click on these and read these reports. Now, sometimes these reports come with photographs. So the point here is to scrape as much information as you can. The first stage is the stage we're in now, is record everything. It's very important to document what you can and don't depend on others to do it. So record everything you can. After that period goes and it ends, and this will end, then it's time to scrape the data and find out exactly what the hell happened. So make sure you use flight radar. Make sure you use the ADSB exchange. Check out Flight Stalker. And what's really important is the National UFO Reporting Center. Most of you should already know what that is and just how we'd be lost without Peter Davenport. Now, they have a page up here on their latest drone sighting. So this is another page that is must reading. They also have a bunch of sightings in here from London, Ontario. Stuff I didn't even, wasn't even on my radar. Now, they have some pretty important things here. A breakdown. There's commonalities here. And these commonalities are pretty important to identify. What exactly are we dealing with? Are we dealing with Chinese drones, military drones, or UFOs imitating drones and aircraft? Now, here they have the size. Many of these are the size of cars or SUVs. One was witness describing seeing one the size of a school bus. The speed. They can outrun police drones. This is apparent. because this has been seen on video. Stealth, when they turn off their lights when approached by other aircraft. Now, this is pretty important because it reveals some things. In order to do that, you have to have front-looking cameras back and side to side on, if it's a drone. And if it's big as a car, there's plenty of room to do that. And then you have to have the software to detect this. Or you have to have one person on every single thing manually operating it. So they appear they could be AI or autonomous, but they could be controlled one-on-one. These things seem so advanced. It seems like they're like a Tesla version of a car that's self-flying. These are things UFOs do, that they disappear when you get too close to them. They take off. So a lot of this indicates this might not be just hobby drones or anything like that. Now, thermal anomalies. Wilson County Sheriff's Department, I believe they're the ones who've seen them coming out of the water. They said there's no heat. This is very disturbing because that's impossible. There's nothing out there that I know that has stealth from thermal imaging. Dead bodies have it. Everything has some type of thermal image. To disappear means either that you took the heat of this and transformed it into the air, but you still should see something around it. I've seen this a few times with things on my thermal. I thought maybe they were out of range. I'm still doing science with it, so I still don't know. So that's very disturbing. And these are commonalities that are coming out in sighting after sighting. So far, we don't have anybody on the ground in New Jersey that can confirm this with their own thermal scope. We have the police drones. Now, what I would do is get a hold of Ocean County Sheriff's Department, somebody out there, and tell them that you want this helicopter footage so we can put it on the internet. We want to see the whole helicopter footage from the time it took off to the time it landed on this particular event. They probably have a thing where they switch, hopefully we switch from color to thermal, because it'd be interesting to see if they're showing up in color, but they're not showing up in thermal. This is early reporting that they were interfering with cars, clocks. This is indicative of a real UFO event. Stuff like that doesn't happen with drones. Quantity of up to 50, yes. This is a key ticket here. Whoever's doing this is extremely wealthy. You can't just willy-nilly this. If you put 50 of them up, then somebody has spent millions and millions and millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars. When we look at how much like an F-35 cost or a custom 100 off aircraft from a military contractor, they're hundreds of millions if we're lucky, and usually around $1 billion. These objects are outperforming current modern drone technology. They're up there for 4 and 6 hours. The military is telling us they don't know where they are, what they are. And what's awesome is the White House denying all this. We're watching real time. It's almost like we're back in 1947 and we haven't evolved. It's very telling when the president or a spokesperson goes up and says something, because everything they say probably is true, but they're speaking like a lawyer. Like when Biden came out and said, everything we see up there is legitimate and lawful. Well, if these are military drones, then yeah, they have permits to do this, but to tell us about it is classified. And Biden is going to go down as the worst president disclosure ever had. He's never talked about it and never did nothing to help none of us. If we go backwards in time, we have Jimmy Carter, who campaigned on opening his Pandora's box. When he got into office, apparently they told him what this was and he cried. Then we had Ronald Reagan, who was probably the best proponent for disclosure of any president we've had in my lifetime. He openly talked about this while he was in office and after office. He's seen a UFO on a private jet once. He did a couple of famous speeches about if the world would come together, if a UFO event happened, we would quit fighting. Maybe, but I don't think that's the case. And then after him, we had Bush. Bush obviously knew what these things were. He was the director of the CIA. He's about as deep state or whatever as they can get. And then after him, we had Clinton. Clinton really didn't do anything about this. He claims now that he's out of office that he tried to get information on what was going on at Area 51, and he should have legalized the cover-up and all these things, but he didn't do jack. But he does at least talk about it, out there. And then after him, we had another Bush. He didn't say nothing. Both Bushes had their 2 wars. They didn't really say anything before or afterwards. Then we had Obama. Obama was very suspicious when he talked about it, and very, very careful what his words were. He went on a few shows like Kimmel and such, and every person who comes on Kimmel, he asks him first, are aliens real? And he's very clever. I can't tell you. And then now that he's out of office, within the last year or two, they've all admitted that there's something in the sky that we can't see. Then along came Trump, and a lot of people thought he was going to do disclosure, but again, he was very careful in his wording, didn't say anything, but he didn't block the issue, so to speak, or do anything bad. And then we had Biden. Biden didn't do nothing for us, nothing. And then he's got Susan Go, who's the biggest gatekeeper we've seen. We never had a Susan Go type character that I remember that was on the official payroll. In the past, we had people like Philip Klass, Michael Shermer, and other people do that for us. So we went through that, went through UFO Stalker. Now, another resource here is going to be the FAA. So the FAA, but before, let's get back real quick to something else on the National UFO Reporting Center. So what you're going to want to do is some of this data hasn't came out yet. So for New Jersey, we're going to go here, and we're going to come in here, and we're going to get all these. So we do have some from New Jersey in here, and this is where we can get the meat out of all the flood of bullshit. So one thing you can do is you can come in here, and you can copy and paste all this data. Open Excel, open a fresh copy, and paste this in. What that does is that gives you a summary report. So you can have all this stuff, and then you can adjust the columns. So this is probably the start of what you can do to collect data in your state, is copy and paste all this into Excel. And then that'll give you summary data. And then one by one, you can go in here and copy and paste this into your own database. So that's if you want to go deep in the weeds with that. You can do that with the National UFO Reporting Center. So start building a database over what you're going to study. Now, there's other programs out there that there's one, I believe it's called Web Reaper. And what this does is it downloads an entire website, all the links. 20 years ago, I used to use this for network penetration testing of websites. They don't like that because you suck down the resources, all the links, everything. This is how a bad web crawler figures out all the people on your company's website and then spams them. So you start with them. Then after that, we want to bring in the FAA. Actually, the FAA is, well, that's good to hear. The FAA is a great resource. Now, let me tell you what you can do here. Now, the FAA has to post this stuff. I downloaded this last night, took a look at it. So what we're looking at here is a report. And I'm not going to open it because I don't think I have Excel installed on here. But it's going to open an Excel spreadsheet. And what this one has is 400 reports that were sent into the FAA. And what's contained in these reports is a hell of a lot of pilots reporting UASs, drones, and whatnot. Now, this data is really good because you can sort it by, let's say, New Jersey. You just want New Jersey stuff. You can just take that data out. And then another thing very important is it gives you the altitude of reporting. So you could see how high are these drones actually going, and are they dangerous? One thing for sure, when this is all said and done, is we're going to be lucky you can even fly a drone anymore. They might legally take all that away. But in this latest one are over 400 reports, and you could see the different altitudes and whatnot, the colors. So you can match up, are they using the red and green like they're doing in New Jersey? That is a dead giveaway. When they're using that, they do not really want to get shot down because they're doing it legally. So where is this going to fit? And okay, that's the FAA. Now, last and least is MUFON. You used to be able to use MUFON for free, then search their database. So I'm groveling here. You can go to MUFON, join for a month, and then scrape their database for everything they have, and just use them as a one month stand. So you're done with them. So use them and then toss them. Collect your data from there, because that's what the feds are doing. That's what the FBI, that's what Arrow, that's what they're doing to scrape public data. So do that. Another one is an app from I think it's the Paradigm group. I can't remember the name of it, but I think you might be able to get some data from them. Now, the history of drone swarms. This is a buildup, and let's get into a history of that. So this has been an ongoing thing that has been going on since at least 2016 or earlier. A lot of this stuff is extremely classified. This information, a lot of it was dug out through FOIAs. So we have the infamous Tucson drone encounter. What happened here was a drone flew over some area of Davis-Monthan Air Force Base that was close to the fuel tanks. There were 2 police helicopters that were in the air at the time. They went after it. Up here is a PDF file of the pilot's report, and it's also the PDF file of the guy who was the co-pilot in the helicopter who was using night vision. Again, his night vision, he could not see this, but he could visually see it in color. So that matches what some of the new information fresh from New Jersey is talking about. So they flew after this drone to try and exhaust its battery. They figured it would probably have about 20 minutes and it'd be forced to land, and it'd land at the operator and they'd arrest him, but it ditched him. So this thing eventually flew over a mountain. It was up about 90 minutes. It flew over a mountain at 13,000 feet. Now, it's pretty damn cold up there, and when you get up that high, your batteries will go down. So it could have been a gas-powered drone. We don't know, but that was one of the first incursions of something, and it's a national security thing. If we have these type of objects that fly over a military base with impunity, now, what is the key here? Are there nuclear weapons around somewhere stored there? They have a hell of a lot of planes there. So this thing flew out, and it got away. Why? That was testing our defenses. There's no doubt, because that is key to what's going on. Now, next, what we have is the Palo Verde nuclear place. That's a different one. So what's going on with this report is this happened for a few days. We had basically the same type of thing happen, where the Palo Verde nuclear site here in Arizona is one of the largest places in the world where they have a nuclear reactor, and it fuels 35% of Arizona. Phoenix and Tucson are powered by that. So what happened is 2 to 3 drones came in to the Palo Verde nuclear power place. They had searchlights on it. They went on high alert for security. They had they had nothing to protect them at all as far as bringing the drones down. They don't have things to look at the RF frequency. They don't have weapons to take them down. But they did observe them. They most likely videotaped them with some manner. Now, that's another thing that I don't know if you could FOIA and get the records and videotapes from that. Be interesting to see what was going on there. But those drones also, those drones were also in the air for 90 minutes. They believe what they were doing is LiDAR. Now, this is also a national security threat because they were testing essentially what is our reaction? How far can we push it? Now, those drones alone, the report said that they could, slam into the nuclear power center, but it wouldn't knock out the power. But what if they had, explosives and they were knocking out where that power goes off to the city? That is not going to be too protected. So they're at least they're doing security penetration testing of Davis Monthan Air Force Base, and then they did it the nuclear power plant. So this is a precursor to an attack. This is the type of stuff that you would want to collect information on to say, if we're going to do something, what are they going to counter it with? And you know what we're going to counter it with? Nothing. So let's go on to a next pretty big sighting here. That was the Palo Verde one. Now we had around the same time. Now notice this is around all around the same time here. And unfortunately, there's some ads on this page. But New Jersey police chief, he came back in the news because he was talking about what you should, or Nebraska here, was talking about what they should do in New Jersey. Now, for a couple of months in New Jersey and Nebraska, again, 40 to 50 drones. So this is like what's happening in New Jersey, 40 and 50 of them. But these came out of the water. Now, these objects also had a long loitering time. They were up in the air for quite a long time. Again, whoever is doing the stuff in New Jersey, also they took a trip over to Nebraska. This was also theorized that what we're dealing here was, again, LiDAR scanning. Now, over Hawaii, not too long ago, there were a bunch of green lasers that came down, and they were shot down by satellites, and they were LiDAR scanning the ocean. Now, if they're LiDAR scanning the ocean, they're certainly going to hit towns. And the Chinese reaction might be, well, you have Google Maps. You guys, you tech bros, have maps of everything, and nobody asked. So, yeah, that happened. And then we have this swarm that happened. So, in this one, and a lot of this stuff, again, we would know about, but FOIAs have brought this up. So, back the debrief here, or where are we looking at here? Oh, this is actually TMZ for a source. They had 35 incidents where these were off the coast of the Pacific between 2016 and 2021. Now, these ships were harassed by a series of drones. Again, this is pushing it. A lot of countries wouldn't put up with this. If this was Iran, Israel, probably Pakistan, Soviet Union, these would immediately be shot down and blown up. But this country seems to put up with these devices going around our nuclear reactors or military bases, critical infrastructure. Now, this has been going on for quite a long time that we don't even know how many places this happened, because Congress gets briefing and they're like, wow, we only know about the stuff that leaked. So the war zone here was talking about an incident that happened where they actually captured one of these drones. So in the FOIA report, these things were, again, a swarm of them. They can go up there for a couple of hours. I'm going to drop all these links after this is over in the comments so you can research this. Now, These were positively identified as a drone. They have a little bit of footage up here that you can watch too. Now, it's interesting, and a lot of people don't know this, is we got one of these things. The drone, needless to say, the fact that one of the drones actually landed on the deck is extremely interesting. It doesn't appear to have been disclosed before now, but potentially concerning the war zone, is explored in depth. The small commercial quadcopter can be modified to carry munitions and other hazardous payload. This was a surveillance drone. What happened is it landed on the deck, and when it landed on the deck, somebody ran over there, got it. They turned it off. They put it in a secure area, and they removed the SD card. What they can get from that is then they can find out. Most drones automatically record from the time they take off. Advanced ones, you can turn that off, but they might have been stupid, recorded the entire time they took off the drone, did whatever, landed on the deck of a ship, got caught. Could be a dead giveaway who did that. So in these classified type briefings, they're going to, in a skiff, talk about the history of this and what they can do. Rules of engagement here seem to be don't fire upon any of these objects until you're fired upon first. Now, in another article here, we actually have these type of devices. The military is one of the people that can put this out. Let's bring up this article now. So we actually have one of these that was captured, and we have our own versions of this. So the Navy is bragging that they want to put hundreds of thousands of these devices up. And the other day I was looking, and right now they have two Navy ships that are unmanned, so there's no one in them. And after reading this article, I believe what happened is inside of these are swarms of drones that can be launched through various methods. So in here they say, we ain't just sitting around doing nothing, but this is very telling. We don't want to expose this to the adversary to counter that ability. So in New Jersey, if what's going on are some of these drones flying around doing grid patterns, the military has the technology certainly to do that, but they don't want to give away this because they claim it's in test phase. They're saying they have prototypes for sub drones that would produce hundreds of thousands. So this got to be expensive. So this kind of matches the 50 drones that we're seeing. But why the hell, I don't get it. Why the hell would the military buzz their own military base? Why would they go to a nuclear power center? Why would they go over Virginia? Why would they go over New Jersey, the White House, Nebraska? They can do all that without creating a big hoopla, but somebody's doing this, and soon the U.S. military is going to have these capabilities. That's for sure. So what they say here is when the unforgiving hour happens, there's battle spaces where it may not be necessary to contest air and maritime superiority for one, but simply to deny the use to the enemy that wants to use that battle space for its own purposes. This principally highly effective concept of operational sea denial with unmanned undersea vessels with smart undersea capabilities, with surface capabilities that's as the ability to meet the new principles, which we don't set a human being being deployed into something dangerous. They do it with drones faster and more cheaper. So this is on the radar. This is stuff that could happen. Subtitles. There's no subtitles. Okay, I'll look into that. Thanks for that tip there, Nelson. So there's rumors going on, and they're pretty good. Right now, New Jersey is saying we're in a no-fly zone, but the president says there's nothing to see here. So two things cannot be like each other. One person here is lying. There's a report of 500 mayors saying, what the hell is going on? This is unprecedented. This is possibly one of the biggest things that's ever happened in ufology, even if they're putting up drones and aircraft and people are confused, there's a core here that started this. I've seen videos online of orbs, of things I don't know what they were. So one thing is to vet your information. Forget the drones that look like airplanes and stuff. Focus on the orbs. Focus on the very weird things that stand out. Now, I looked around social media. The best thing you can do is scrape these databases that I showed you to get the real data. Now, there's going to be some misinformation there, but a lot of it's been kind of pre-vetted. So look for patterns in that. Look for 50. Look for things like they don't show up on thermal or night vision. The numbers count because it's operational. It's very expensive. So this could be possibly China pushing us towards an attack, but they've been doing this for decades. So I'm not sure what to do with that. So this is going to end. And that's when you're going to need to vet sources very carefully. Twitter has a lot of interesting video. There was a video I'm looking for of a blue orb, and it was filmed in a car. And there was a man and a woman in the car, and they drove towards it. They got out and they filmed it. And as they get closer, you could see what looked like a quadcopter, but there was a blue orb attached under it, and it flew over them. That looked pretty real. But these sources need to go back, find out who exactly did this. I mean, we need the name, and we need the person to come forward. Screen names, don't cut it. I don't investigate any of that stuff. That's worthless. We're trying to end the stigma, and we can't do it with a bunch of ufologists or witnesses with fake names and fake avatars. So that needs to be vetted. There's another video they call Ezekiel's Wheel that's been on social media. It's spinning around. I haven't found the source of who shot that. So these things need to be vetted. You need to go back to the source and find out, where did this come from? You just can't just be willy-nilly throwing this stuff around. We need to find out exactly who did this later. With the Phoenix Lights, you wouldn't want hundreds of videos of bullshit and AI and all that. With AI, we can't trust nothing. So you got to vet it back to the source of the original person. And the same thing in ufology. There's a lot of people that are hiding behind fake names or avatars, and they said that they're leaders in ufology, and they have sources. I've never seen a big shot get on his phone and say, hold on, we need to talk to this dude on Twitter with a handle. But these people on Twitter with a handle are demanding whistleblowers come forward when they won't even come forward. How about you first? And I've had my face out there for 30 years. If you want the stigma to end, ufologists need to put the first step forward and do that. Or get the hell out of ufology. You're nothing but noise. So now, this is the scary part. They're talking about, are these drones looking for nuclear weapons? Well, yeah, nothing. It could be just a story of bullshit. That's what came out officially from the Biden administration, and John Kirby was nothing but crap. So how do we find out if they're looking for a loose nuke? Now, this document, spent some time reading through this. This is the Black Sea experiment. And let me give you a quick briefing of what this is about. Back during the Reagan administration, they wanted to decrease the number of nuclear material out there, the weapons. So they did a shared test. And what the Black Sea experiment did was allow some people from the United States to take our scanners and scan Soviet nuclear warheads, and they would use their scanners to scan ours. So why is this important? This goes back to 1998, and everything about the Department of Energy and nukes is classified. So it's very interesting just to get anything. So these guys that conducted this experiment are still alive. 7 months ago, there was a YouTube channel that came out with these guys talking, and it's fascinating listening to the technology that they have. By the time I was done watching this, I found out where you can order depleted uranium online and have it shipped to you through the mail. So anyway, this was part of the START treaty. And what's interesting is reading how did they do this. So what these scientists did is they went and they bought a couple of detectors. So here they bought these $70,000 worth of intrinsic germanium X-ray spectrometers. Now they bought two of them, and they went. One of them broke. So on the way over there, one of them broke, and they needed things to calibrate what these are. So I learned a lot just by what is probably all declassified here. And on the YouTube channels, a lot of stuff you can't even talk about. But to do a calibration before they did the nukes, this guy just happened to have laying around half a pound of depleted uranium. And that's when I started going, really? Can you get that shit? Yeah, you can get that shit. So he had a half a pound. And then it's $35 an ounce. So you do the math, and I think it's 300 by 288 or 288,000 or something grams for half a pound. And anyway, you're looking at $100,000 for that. I don't know where he got it. I don't even know how I got to the point I wanted test samples of depleted uranium. But anyway, they were using germanium scanners. And what these scanners were capable of doing is detecting Soviet warheads. So on these, they had some dummy warheads. So that way, they would have some of them on this ship. The ship was called Slava, and they tested it. So one thing interesting that I learned is these scanners, when you scan a warhead that's put together, it has a signature. Now that signature, they can go back and get the same thing again. Now the scanner is a device that's about a foot big with a tube on it, and then they have a couple lanes that go away to, I believe, what is probably like a spectrometer or something like that. So they're looking at different charts. So you would see the same, graph over and over with the nuke. So this is a way they can tell a fingerprint of a nuclear weapon if it's been disassembled or whatever. And I'm sure we have ways to tell our nukes, but it was interesting. We got to scan the Soviets got to scan us. So this is a lot like what's possibly going on in New Jersey, is drones are flying around and they're looking for these things. But here's a 30-year-old document that talks about this and how they would do that. So this is important because it would tell us what would be on that drone. So they had a limit of 10 minutes to do this, but they said, we need to test it. And they took 14 minutes testing it. So it took a while. Oh, and also when they went over through the plane to get to this area, this is just reading this. You learn a lot. The guy goes to try and get half a pound of depleted uranium through an airport in 89, right? And they take his bags and they say, you come with me over here. And he goes, what do you got in the suitcase? He just comes out and says half a pound of depleted uranium. And they're like, okay, you can't take this on the plane. Now, first of all, how the hell did they know he had depleted uranium in his suitcase when he's at the airport? So they have radiation scanners there. Back in 89, what the hell did they have today? So that was an eye-opener. So the guy says, well, you can't fly in this plane. He goes, well, can I leave it here in a locker and then ship it out tomorrow? And they said, sure. So first they put it over in a suitcase out of the main area of the airport. Then they went to the center of the airport, locked it in a locker overnight. The DU came back the next night and shipped it over on FedEx. So anyway, they did their tests, and with these tests that they had, the $70,000 scope, they had to have it about 70 millimeters away from the warhead. But the most interesting thing was this Kurchatov helicopter experiment with neutron measurements. Now, what these guys were able to do is with these two helicopters, within half a minute, they were able to detect the nukes on their ship. and they were able to detect ones with neutrons. There's different type of nuclear warheads. There's a lot of them are fission or fusion based, and they use plutonium. These neutron ones are the ones that you always see in a sci-fi movie. These are the ones that don't do a lot of destruction, but to the buildings, but they give out a F ton of radiation to kill people, versus the other type of bomb does a lot of destruction, but less radiation. So the neutron bombs are easier to detect and can be detected from distances that we know back in '89 from 150 meters, which is about it with an only a minute and a half to overpass. So if you retrofitted this device on a drone, some of those vertical takeoff ones, they could be looking for a loose nuke. So that's the takeaway from this is the Soviets apparently kicked their ass in nuclear war detection. Truth Seeker, thank you so much for that super chat. That goes to support the channel. All the research that I do before I stream, the inevitable fuck up 5 minutes before it happens. But yeah, I'm getting better at this. The content's going to keep coming. Thanks for watching this. I really appreciate it. So these could be this, what going on fits the pattern that this could be, they're looking for a nuke. Now, the good news about that is you can't hide these damn things in the house. You know, these things can see through a ship with steel plating. They're going to go right through a wood house. So if somebody on the East Coast has smuggled in, say, a Ukrainian loose nuclear weapon, and it's a neutron type bomb, if the Soviets had those are going to be detectable quite easy. The government did say, I think a couple of days ago, they found a small amount of nuclear stuff, but whatever they admit that they found, if they make that times 20, and that'll be the real answer for how much. And it was the same thing when cops used to bust people for marijuana and say the street value is what, you could always deduct that with police officer math. So this might be just a cover for what's going on with the New Jersey drone stuff. This might have started with real orbs, and then it spun out of control, and they're going to flood the zone with bullshit. So they have these drones flying around. They have people on the ground misidentifying stuff. They flood the FBI with thousands of reports that the FBI doesn't need. They also get on social media and they say, dude, you're stupid. These are planes. Anybody who looks at UFOs are stupid. So this could be a combination of things, but it's a huge pickup. When this ends, and all these tabs I went through from Tucson to the Palo Verde nuclear plant to Nebraska, the 2 months of drone harassment there. Now we have New Jersey, the White House. This will all end up. Now this will switch to something else. There will be another city coming or another location. This is going to end anytime soon, but like Lua Elizondo's book, this is imminent. This is a build up to an attack. Whatever this is, if they're drones, these aren't friendly. This is a national security thing. They're flying around with impunity over our best assets. And these are the reports that we know. There's a lot of stuff that pilots report that's most likely classified. So Congress might go into these skiffs and crap their pants at how much of a buildup this is. I don't think it's a UFO attack. If this is done by a foreign adversary, it's probably China, because like I showed you in these documents, the U.S. certainly is bragging about the capability of using unmanned Navy attack ships or submarines and flooding the skies with these things. This will disorientate the enemy. They won't know what the hell we're looking at, kind of like we're seeing in New Jersey. There'd be confusion. Are these drones? Are these UFOs? People be confused. And while that's going on, they're going to rain hell and lead down on you. So this is a distraction. These things don't seem like they were built with weapons in mind. They seem like, if it's got LiDAR on it, it's not here to kill you. So that's like the future of the drone wars we're in. And we are in some type of drone cold war with China. They're buzzing our bases with drones, our nuclear facilities, our infrastructure, even our cows. What are we doing back? We don't know. I mean, how do we know that we don't have U.S. drones or the equivalent screwing with their cities in China all over the place, and this is retaliatory? We don't know because the media is controlled for right now. It seems like Taylor Swift and distractions and bullshit. The media now, which is great, is covering this. The thing about that is you need to be careful how they spin it, because these people don't give a damn about this, and they don't know any of it. So once the corporate news starts talking about this, it'll be globular, where they don't get into any of the details. They probably aren't going to get into the history. News Nation does a pretty good job of covering everything. But the spin they put on this, that's going to be something to watch. There's going to be probably change when Trump comes in. That'll be interesting to see if there's dead silence. I won't torture you people and put up an image of Susan Go, but she's got to go. Hopefully Trump won't put up a UFO cock blocker like her. She's going to go down the annals of history pretty bad next to Philip Klass, next to these people at Arrow that didn't do shit for us. Has anybody got any questions? Let me check the chat and see what's going on here. Now, if these are UFOs, I don't anticipate an attack. I don't think what we're looking at over Tucson was a UFO. That was probably a drone. At first I did, but now there's a collection of these reports. There's a lot of stuff going together. We ain't going to be able to figure this out on the fly. A lot of this is like hindsight. Like, for instance, last week I was testing a live Skywatch. Object flew out. I looked at, I think it was a couple of miles up. I didn't know what it was. Before this live cast, I was studying it, and I made out a string, and I concluded that thing was solved, that was a high altitude balloon I picked out of the sky. So we gotta be careful. Don't jump on everything and think it's a UFO. Don't get too hysterical, but document, stay calm, stick with the facts, and vet your sources. Collectively share stuff. I think you should have learned tonight that the U.S. does have the ability to find nuclear weapons. I don't know if they'd need these drones to do it. They could probably use regular airplanes. As far as chemtrails, virus, probably would have hit by now. I seen aircraft video where people said they were spraying us. It was likely just a contrail coming out the back. It takes a couple of years of sky watching to know what belongs and what doesn't. That's why flight radar and the ABSD exchange are invaluable tools to all of us. There are even cops are talking about this to go out and use it. So the media out there is great, because when they talk about this, the stigma just melts in front of our eyes. But we have to do this too as a community, and come out of the shadows and show your face and show who you are and your evidence, and why people should even listen to you at all. If this could be China probing us for an attack, they'd be dead wrong to fuck with the United States, military or otherwise. Everything they have, they copy us. They copy all of our stuff. So how could this be drones if we're just kind of on the cusp of doing this? The military saying this is coming soon, and they ripped us off, and they're doing them in 50. The thing here I think to look at is we have the 50 and we have the UFOs. It kind of reminds me of like what happened with the Phoenix Lights. People say what happened, what I filmed was a diversion. It wasn't a diversion. I was invited to go there and guaranteed to see something. This was a scheduled event that those drones were, or those flares and March 13th were dropping. It just happens that boomerang was flying in the state, had the same color and the same amount of lights, that made it a super sighting, where most people videotaped the 10 p.m. thing, but the real UFO is 8:30. This could be another thing like that going on in New Jersey, where the real thing are the orbs that we got to get down to. And the fake stuff are the 50 drones that seem to be deployable at any one time, to put confusion up there, or a cover story that this could be, it's not UFOs. They're looking for nukes, which is even scarier, or chemical weapons. That's probably a bunch of shit. Sleep tight at Christmas time. None of that's going to go on. This has been going on 8 years that we know of, with at least the drones. At some point, they're going to get shot down. I don't think we're going to turn our cities into war zones. That's what's going to take. These bullets come down. And I want to hear the story from Uncle Dave later. So contact me with email. Yeah, it could be a lot of things. The thing is the key is where are they going to, and they're coming out of the water. So on tonight's show, we know that the U.S. military has recovered some of these drones, and they know at least what they're doing. It's their job to protect us, but they don't seem to be doing a hell of a job. But I think we're stuck with don't fire first, and start shit, which I think is probably a pretty good tactic and a safe one to have. Let's just not get trigger happy with these things. So what are we at? Just over an hour here. So I'm going to wrap up this episode. We don't have a lot of evidence that these are UFOs yet. Everything points so far to possible drones mixed up with UFO sightings. I anticipate this is going to end, and then it's going to move to another area. And this is just going to be a bookmark in ufology that's unfolding. It's up to us to document this right, work together, and in the end, try and separate the wheat from the chaff, the good stuff from the bad, and work together. I mean, the community's been asking for a pickup in UFOs forever, and here we are. So it's up to all of us to work together as a community. I appreciate everyone that's the super chat. Thank you so much, Truth Seeker. You wouldn't believe how much money goes into this show, this lab. I probably got to go to shopping rehab. I can't quit buying stuff and adding stuff. So I want everyone to have one hell of a good Christmas and holidays. I'm going to be back next Friday. Next Friday is going to, unless all hell breaks loose, which it kind of is. Next Friday is going to be a tutorial, which has been asked for, on how to use Kia Novia software. Kia Novia software is what I used to trace the line of the M video that was on George Knapp's Investigation Alien. I did 4 sections of it. Some of it was easy to do. Some of it was frame by frame and difficult. So I'm going to go into the weeds with this, show a tutorial. Some people out there have already have UFO footage that they want to use this on. You can even use this on the New Jersey drone stuff. It's great to track flight paths and whatnot. Coming later will be how to hook up UFODAP to various cameras, how to stabilize footage, how to figure out how fast an object is moving collectively with Kia Nova, with Flight Radar 24, and where you live. All this is going to grow together to make you a better Skywatcher. So those will be step-by-step for training on how everybody out there can be the best Skywatcher and reporter you can be. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next Friday for that tutorial. And if you got videos you want to send in, I can put them through some systems that you won't have to pay for and process it for you. So we'll see you guys.